Gladius. At the center of Roman gladiatorial combat stood the Gladius, a short double-edged sword optimized for thrusting. Its blade measured roughly 2 Roman feet in length and narrowed to a sharp taper. Forged of high-carbon steel, the Gladius combined flexibility with a hardened cutting edge. The design evolved from Iberian blades captured during campaigns in Hispania and was standard issue for legionaries before reaching the arena. Gladiators known as Murmillo paired the Gladius with a large rectangular shield called a scutum and wore a fish-crested helmet. The weapon's balance allowed rapid lunges aimed beneath or between an opponent's defenses, making every move count in close quarters. In a memorable opening spectacle of the Flavian Amphitheater in the year 79 of the Common Era, the poet Martial described the duel between the secutor Priscus and the retiarius Verus. Priscus advanced under his scutum, delivering precise downward thrusts to Verus's unprotected side. Verus countered with his net and trident, but could not keep Priscus at bay. Their clash ended when Emperor Titus, impressed by Priscus's disciplined attacks, awarded both combatants the rudest wooden sword of freedom, granting them their liberty. Net and trident. In stark contrast to heavy armored fighters, the retiarius used a weighted net and a 3-pronged spear called a tridentum. The net, woven from thick hemp cords and weighted with metal nodules along its edge, could span up to 12 Roman feet. The retiarius hurled this net to entangle an opponent's limbs or shield straps. With his quarry slowed, he then closed with the tridentum, thrusting its iron tines into exposed flesh. Retiarii wore minimal armor, often a simple shoulder guard called a gallerus, relying instead on speed and evasion. This style emphasized agility and dramatic flair over brute force. During the inaugural games of the Flavian Amphitheater, Martial recounts how Verus, the retiarius, flung his net to catch Priscus's shield arm. As Priscus struggled to free the scutum, Verus backed away, raised his tridentum, and drove it into Priscus's flank. The crowd roared at the sudden reversal of roles, witnessing how a lightly equipped fighter could outwit and wound a heavily armored opponent with precision and timing. Sica. Gladiators known as Thraex imitated Thracian warriors by wielding the Sica, a short curved sword with a deep inward bend. The blade measured approximately 1.5 Roman feet and was crafted from spring steel to absorb the lateral stresses of hooking motions. The curve allowed a gladiator to reach around an opponent's shield edge to slash at the ribs or neck. Thraex fighters carried a small square shield called a parmula and wore a single greave on the lead leg for added protection. Their style relied on lateral footwork and feints to create openings for the curved blade. Cassius Dio records an encounter in the year 38 of the Common Era, when a Thraex named Spiculus faced a heavily armored provocator. Spiculus danced around his rival's shield and slipped the Sica's curve along the rim, slicing the outer thigh. As the provocator stumbled, Spiculus rotated the blade upward and drove it behind the collarbone, bringing the bout to a swift and decisive end. Scissor. Among the rarest gladiator weapons, the scissor combined leverage and blade in a single device. It consisted of a metal brace strapped to the forearm and elbow, ending in 2 heavy curved blades that resembled open shears. Fighters wearing the scissor donned minimal armor, often a greave and an arm guard called a manica, to preserve mobility. They swung their forearms in sweeping arcs, using the curved blades to hook limbs or tear through leather-reinforced garments. The name scissor derives from the Latin word for shears, reflecting its dual-bladed configuration. An inscription from the amphitheater at Puteoli honors a scissor specialist named Felix, who fought a secutor in the year 82 of the Common Era. According to the inscription, Felix caught the secutor's helmet grill with his scissor blades and ripped it free, exposing the man's face. With one arm disabled, the secutor could not raise his shield, and Felix completed the encounter with a lethal upward slash across the throat. Cestus. Derived from Greek boxing traditions, the Cestus transformed a simple fist into a crushing weapon. Constructed from leather bands wrapped tightly around the hand and forearm, the Cestus incorporated iron studs or razor-edge plates over the knuckles. Fighters known as Cestarii entered the arena with only a sublegaculum loincloth and their metal-reinforced gloves. Training emphasized head movement and controlled aggression to maximize impact while minimizing self-injury. Each punch delivered fractures and concussions, equal to that of a club strike. An epitaph from Capua, dated to the mid-2nd century of the Common Era, commemorates a Cestus fighter named Crispus. He is famed for a single overhead hook that opened his opponent's skull and a side palm punch that ruptured the ear. The crowd witnessed multiple fractures and rapid knockdowns, demonstrating how the Cestus blurred the line between sport and mortal combat. Hasta. The Hoplomachus mirrored Hellenistic spear-armed soldiers by using the Hasta, a thrusting spear approximately 7 Roman feet long. The wooden shaft was reinforced with iron bands to prevent splintering, and the iron head ended in a sharp point for piercing attacks. A counterweight spike called a piloaspis at the base provided balance and served as a secondary striking point. Hoplomachi carried a small shield and wore a helmet with a full face guard. Their methodical advance and disciplined lunges allowed them to control distance before switching to a short sword for finishing moves. Quintilian describes a 2nd century spectacle in which Marcus the Hoplomachus faced a secutor. Holding the Hasta at full arm's length, Marcus drove the piloaspis into his opponent's thigh as the shield dipped. When the secutor collapsed, Marcus completed the bout with a precision thrust of his Gladius between the helmet and shoulder plate. Spatha. Originally favored by Roman cavalry, the Spatha was a straight longsword measuring up to 3 Roman feet in blade length. Its extended reach and curved cutting edge made it ideal for slashing attacks from horseback, and later for special arena events. Gladiators wielding the Spatha often wore lighter armor or no shield, trading protection for freedom of movement. Techniques emphasized broad cutting motions aimed at disabling an opponent's limbs or stripping away defenses. An inscription from a festival in the year 89 of the Common Era names Cato, a former cavalryman, as victor in a Spatha contest held before Emperor Domitian. Cato reportedly sliced through the leather bindings of his rival's shield, causing it to collapse to the ground. He then delivered a single sweeping cut across the collarbone, incapacitating his opponent without the need for prolonged engagement. Dual swords. The Dimicharis fought with 2 identical short swords, one in each hand, forsaking large shields for ambidextrous blade work. This style required rigorous training to develop equal strength and coordination in both arms. The Dimicharis used feints, rapid slashes, and the ability to trap or bind an adversary's weapon between the twin blades. Battles often turned into lightning-fast exchanges, with each sword protecting or attacking in turn. A 1st century mosaic uncovered in Pola depicts Lucius the Dimicharis dueling a Murmillo. Graffiti beside the image notes how Lucius deflected a shield strike with one blade while plunging the other into the Murmillo's side, severing the femoral artery. Witnesses describe the scene as a blur of steel and flesh. Sling. The fundator demonstrated the power of the sling, a ranged weapon composed of a leather pouch and 2 cords. By swinging the pouch in a circular arc and releasing one cord at the precise moment, the gladiator could send a stone hurtling at over 60 Roman miles per hour. Fundatores trained to adjust cord lengths and release angles to target vulnerable spots on an armored opponent, often striking hands, wrists, or helmets. An inscription from the wooden amphitheater at Pompeii mentions Tiberius Balbus, a celebrated fundator of the Summer Games in the year 79 of the Common Era. Balbus broke his opponent's wrist with a single slingshot, preventing the use of a net. He then followed with a stone that shattered the man's skull, leaving him dazed and defenseless before the arena crowd. Dagger. The Pugio dagger served as both a legionary sidearm and a gladiator's last resort weapon. With a broad, leaf-shaped blade forged from tempered steel, the Pugio excelled in thrusting attacks. Gladiators granted mercy at the editor's signal sometimes used the dagger for desperate final strikes. Its presence added an element of unpredictability to the ritual of life or death. Tacitus describes an incident during the games of Emperor Claudius in the year 50 of the Common Era. A secutor, having yielded and signaled surrender, suddenly lunged with his Pugio and grazed the editor's foot. The wound caused a collective gasp among spectators before the guards intervened. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. What topic should I tackle next? Drop your ideas in the comments below, and I'll pick my favorite for the next video. Thanks for watching, and always remember, wombat poop is cube-shaped, so it doesn't roll away and marks their territory more effectively.